Generally, the progression of how things goes is in order. You would think that. I mean, we went from days to weeks, so then naturally you would think, okay, we'll go into months and then maybe later on years. But because of how long this process took to get this movie made, you're just like, you know what? No, skip months. We're just going to years. Like, you sure? I mean, that's just the natural progression of things. But okay, sure. I mean, what you guys want, that's fine. I mean, naturally, me, I would have just gone months, but years. But it doesn't matter. Who cares what I think?
7, 6, 11, 5, 4, 17, 32 the day before.
28 Years Later is once again directed by Danny Boyle and once again written by Alex Garland. The film stars Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Alfie Williams, Jack O'Connell, and Ray Fiennes. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, a group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission into the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected but other survivors. It has been 18 years since the last movie, folks. That is how long it's been since there was another 28 Later movie. And I understand people will say it's the 28 Days Later series. Stop calling it 28 Later. But for me, and how my brain process and how I naturally see things, I just like to call it 28 Layer series. But still, it's been a while since there was another one of these movies, and it's been even longer for both director Danny Boyle and writer and director in his own right, Alex Garland. They went on after that movie to go do their own thing. They went on to have successful careers for themselves, and they have now come back together to team up to make another film. The trailers for this film were both disturbing and intriguing to see. Honestly, the best way I can describe the teaser or trailer rather, it left me interested. It left me intrigued on what this was. In fact, the trailer for this movie actually sold me on wanting to watch the other movies prior to this one. And you can thank this trailer for that because it had me interested in what was the big deal about the 28 Layer series. And I'm glad that I did because I managed to watch an amazing film in the form of 28 Days Later, but unfortunately I got something that was okay and decent like 28 Weeks Later. Now that you have this team up coming back together, can it work? Can we finally get, if you ask me, a proper sequel that both the original director and writer wanted to make? And with all that said, this was a very bizarre, heartwarming, and hold that for a minute. I did say heartwarming, but I will get to that in a little bit in the review. But also disturbing as well. This is a very interesting sequel that only Boyle and Garland could come up with. They could have taken this in a very stereotypical approach. And it could have been like that in the beginning. Not to say that it's terrible or anything like that, but I'm just saying it could have easily gone into that territory. They didn't. They managed to avoid it and go on something completely different and something that I was totally not expecting for this sequel to be. Aside from one issue from this movie, there is only one problem I have with it. I really appreciate this movie for what it is. I respect it in so many ways. It's rare to see a sequel like this not only kind of live up to what the 28 Layer series is known for, but just feeling like a sequel that's not forced, if you will. Because my biggest problem with something like 28 Weeks Later was that felt like a movie that was made because, well, 28 Days Later was a massive success for 20th Century Fox. So let's make another one. But you didn't have anybody that was involved or any input from anybody from the original movie. You just kind of are like, let's make another one. And while some people may enjoy or really like that film, I think most people will agree it doesn't come close to what that first movie was in any way. And for this movie to almost in a way equal the first movie is insane to me and one that still surprises me. But before discussing my only problem with the movie, here are the positives that I have. The performances are fantastic. Everyone in the cast are all terrific and effective. From Comer, Johnson, Williams, and Fiennes, they all work so well throughout this movie. This movie kind of redeems Aaron Taylor Johnson because that poor man had to sell with Craven the Hunter. It's almost like in order for him to work on this movie, yeah, well, we need you to also be in Craven, okay? And maybe sure, Craven was first for him before doing 28 Years Later, but still, it just kind of felt like he had to do that movie in order to be in this. And while I will say it is a little unfortunate that he's not in it much, when he is in it, he's really good. And it does redeem his quality as an actor because Craven the Hunter, if you all know, was one of the worst movies I saw last year. And thankfully, this was a movie that came along and helped him out because he is really good in this movie as a father who's trying to help his son in understanding the world. Another performance I feel like is not getting talked about as much, because I'm not here to say that Johnson or Fiennes, and I will get to him in a little bit, don't deserve it, is Jodie Comer. She is so terrific and so sad as Isla, a woman who is suffering from a disease, somebody who is affected with not remembering so much and having a hard time of with her memory and her family and all that stuff. She's so damn good in this film. I feel like nobody really talks about her performance in this film. It's crazy to me because I feel like her and a new up and comer, Alfie Williams. This kid steals the show, if you ask me. This is his movie. It's surprising because, of course, Joey Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, they got top billing over him. But this is his movie, and he carries his entire film along with the adults. It's insane to me. For a kid like this to match the same level as those two actors is insane to me. And he works really well with both Johnson as well as Comer. He does a really good job of having a relationship with one another and showing their dynamics with each other all throughout this entire film. Ray Fiennes, also really good in this movie, as a man who survived the rage outbreak in the past and is kind of reclusive and is seen by a lot of people as being disturbing and weird. And for Ray Fiennes to kind of delve deep into that, I think was really cool. And I think he delivers a very somber but also kind of touching performance as well, which is kind of weird to say for a character that he's playing. But the whole point is seeing things from different perspectives, and he does that very well. Direction is raw. Once again, director Danny Boyle brings his haunting and disturbing style while also giving us heartfelt moments, making it a return to form for him. It's cool seeing that Danny Boyle is coming back to this franchise after so many years because, again, it's been a while since he made another one of these, literally ever since the first movie. But with the experience he has had and the career that he's had, it's nice knowing that he's taken what he has learned from the past, as well as his in the beginning experience with 28 Days Later, and applying it all into this film because I feel passion and the dedication that he has to this sequel and making it feel as if nothing has changed in the form of what we all expect from a movie like him. And he really brings up a lot of messages, a lot of conversations to be had with regards to growing up in the world and seeing the darkness in people and seeing how others treat each other and how we perceive others. He does that masterfully. He does that very well and he blends it all together. And the heartfelt moments I mentioned, they're there. And it's surprising. I know it's 28 years later, but there's a surprising amount of heartfelt moments in this movie that I was generally shocked and really touched by. And I really applaud Danny Boyle for doing that and really showcasing all that. The cinematography is bold. Once again, cinematographer Anthony Mantle captures a frightening and gorgeous film that blends well together. The fact that this was all shot on iPhones is insane to me. It rivals just regular cameras. I'm pretty sure maybe, and I don't want to like claim that I know this, but they used pretty much iPhones, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Somebody let me know. But from what I know, or what I at least have seen, they used phones for this film entirely. And it's insane to me because it is so gorgeous. It looks well done, masterfully held by Anthony Mantle, who did the cinematography from the first film. Being brought back to this, it felt like he never left. And the camera angles, the shots in this movie felt frantic and fluid, that it just never felt like it was off in any way. It all felt natural in the way this movie could be. The music is eerie. Music group Young Fathers creates a score that's akin to John Murphy's scoring from the first two films. They also know how to enlighten moments of those sincerity parts that sees Spike and Isla so endearing, so loving, so nurturing that it makes you just appreciate the music in those moments. But when it's mostly focusing on the dead and the aspects in which they are hunting Spike or Jamie, or even Spike and Isla. It was very intense, very dark, very eerie, very much reminiscing of how John Murphy's score was in 28 Days Later, on how it all felt distorted, it felt rambling, it felt like it was building, and it kept on distorting it every time. It was insane, it was crazy, and this movie does the same thing, just now years later. The writing is solid. Once again, Alex Garland blends together horrifying, enduring, and reflective elements that keeps things interesting, harkening back to what the first film was. Like I mentioned with Danny Boyle directing this, there's a lot of commentary on how us kind of perceive one another. But then when you actually get to know it and see it, it's completely different. And it changes kind of your perspective on how life can be and how we kind of perceive others in the form of parents, how we all look up to our adult figures in life, and sometimes we see sometimes the good, but then we really do see the ugliness or the lies that they kind of spin for us to feel better, when really they should always be honest with us. And it's cool knowing that Alex Garland was able to craft a script that blends all that together and making it feel like how it was in the first movie, on its commentary on society, how we are able to deprive ourselves into sanity and giving into that rage nature like the infected, and how commentary on toxic masculinity and how society should be, or how governments fail to protect its people from outbreaks or instances of this nature. It's all there. It never felt like it never went away. It feels like it all comes back years later. The story is investing. Watching this young man learning about the mainland were fascinating and well done. It also becomes a heartwarming coming of age between a mother and son. The beginning of this movie, what you see in the trailer, that's only a little bit of it, but a good amount of this movie does focus on mainly Spike and his mother. And it's very touching, it's very sweet, it's very loving. And yes, there are horrific moments in this movie, but the moments you spend with Spike and his mother is very sweet, very touching. This is about a kid growing up in a world that he only has been told and has been described with regards to what the mainland is, because all of Great Britain has been quarantined entirely. And for him to experience it all was truly fascinating, but also riveting to watch. To see this young kid just try to go out into the world and learn what life is in a world that is still infected by the rage virus is amazing. The production is stellar. With a $60 million budget, the quality and amount of time put together is there. From the background infected, props and locations made the hard work pay off. In the end, it seems like the 28 layer movies tend to keep on building in its budget. Here, it's all there. The quality, the effectiveness of putting this all together using iPhones, but rather, just like I said, having the infected, the background actors be able to do the things that they do, as well as the locations and props. The quality is so there. It is amazing to see that this franchise is getting a little bit recognized for the amount of time and effort that a lot of people put into a movie like this, because you see the humble beginnings of how 28 Days Later is versus now. It's completely astonishing and crazy to think that it would go from what it was with that first film to where it is now. Pacing runtime is perfect. Each scene feels right and knows how to flesh itself out. With a runtime of 1 hour and 55 minutes, that's all it needs. If this had gone any longer, if this had gone in a way where it feels like the pacing was inconsistent and the runtime, as much as it can work, it all depends on how it all transitions with regards to how it flows, how it moves. And throughout this movie, it's able to peel back each scene and keep things going at a nice pace to where you feel like you're digesting the story and you're going along, following along with where the story is heading with every twist and turn that it throws at you. The editing is precise. Each cut feels just right as the film keeps going, never being inconsistent or off. I complained about how 28 Weeks Later had editing that was sloppy and messy. Here, it kind of goes back to what 28 Days Later was like, in the form of being like quick cut editing, but at the same time still allowing a scenery to still explain itself, to showcase what the scene, capturing how characters are feeling in the moment and how it's describing the mood and atmosphere. I think that is what really helps these movies out with regards to not only the action feeling a little bit fast paced, but really just taking in the scenery and understanding the world that you are in. And thankfully, the editing here is much better, well defined in how it's trying to really recapture that magic that was there from that first movie. Everything is in order for this to fully be perfect, but there is one problem, you guys. I know that to me stops it. And this is one that's going to be very divisive. I will not deny that. So here is the only negative that I have. Ending, as much as I think it's funny, is ridiculous. The last few minutes becomes a funny, albeit disjointed end to the film, leaving audiences confused but mainly divisive. I feel like a lot of the discourse surrounding this movie that is going to be there for a little bit and maybe throughout the entire year has to be around the ending. And I think this is where people are saying that this movie sucks, terrible, or people think it's brilliant or a masterpiece. Rather, why it's causing a lot of discourse. If you ask me, I don't think it's really the story in terms of everything that has come before it. I think it's the ending. The ending is going to make or break you. And while I was laughing at it, I'm not gonna lie, it is a little crazy to see where it goes by that point because the rest of the movie I think was well done and the tone and the feeling of it all is there. And it gets to the last half, when you look at that part versus the rest of the film, it feels like a complete whiplash. As much as I was laughing and finding it funny, at the same time, it just feels kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. It feels kind of stupid, if you will. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland returns to the series in a great way, offering new and exciting ways for fans to enjoy what they made. This, along with Sinners this year, gives me hope and still shows how powerful film can be. How storytelling can really tell us something about humanity, the nature of ourselves, and so on and so forth. And I really like how Danny Boyle and Alex Garland could have played so safe with this or had kind of tread thin with how the zombie genre is. They managed to avoid all those pitfalls halfway through this movie and they go off on their own path and try to explore deeper meanings, and for that, I respect them a lot. I'm going to give 28 Years Later a 9 out of 10. I think this movie is amazing. It is definitely a worthy and good enough sequel to me where I feel like this truly feels more like a sequel than 28 Weeks Later was. And I know so many people may think that I'm just dissing on 28 Weeks Later so much, but I mean, come on, you guys. If the sequel to this feels more like how the feeling and tone and vibe is like for the first movie, but not feeling like so much a literal copy and paste of it to where it's just trying to just capture whatever worked about that first movie and this feeling more natural compared to what 28 Weeks Later was. I mean, come on. It's no easy bringer reason why this movie deserves a little bit of respect. And I feel like the divisiveness of this movie, I think, is blown out of proportion just simply because of the ending. But I understand the ending is always going to make or break people. For me, it didn't fully break it, but I will say it was ridiculous. So I will be soon doing a review for Elio and then F1, and then all of June is over. So yes, look forward to those reviews and other reviews coming soon.